like he knows a lot about Judaism. He's got it all figured out. And I want to aim this question first at you, Rabbi Singer. When you go through Paul's letters, does he accurately does he accurately represent the Torah, or does he misrepresent Jewish law frequently?
He very deliberately misrepresents the Jewish scriptures. I have to say this, or else I'm going to lose my mind, because he talks about himself being a Pharisee quite a lot. And you can imagine that he's saying that a lot because people are accusing him of being an opponent to the law. And this comes out in the book of Acts. And this is kind of embarrassing. It wouldn't be there. We wouldn't have all this pushback in the Christian canon if this wasn't a massive issue. And Paul is routinely pushing forward his CV, his credentials. And in the ancient world, as today, it's the word Pharisee and the term Orthodox Jew mean exactly the same thing. It's identical. The word Pharisee is an anachronism, but when he uses an example, let's take a nice word, faith, okay? That's a really attractive word, whether you're a theist or an atheist or somewhere in between. Faith, what an attractive word. Well, when the Hebrew Bible used the term faith, like in Sefer Habakkuk, in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, or with Abraham, we are told that the person who is genuinely just will have trust that God will keep his promise. Tzaddik be'emunosai yichya. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 4. This comes up a lot. It comes up in Romans chapter 1, in Galatians 3. It comes up in Hebrews 2, which is Pauline. It's not written by Paul. But what is meant in the Hebrew Bible is that even though the redemption tarries, be patient. Abraham trusted God, meaning he had faith in God, that God made a promise to him, and Abraham trusted that God would keep his promise. What Paul does is he eviscerates that meaning entirely, and instead he uses it in a sense of antinomian, in that God opposes the ritual commandments, and that you don't need to keep the ritual law. And therefore, in his view, faith is an opponent of the works of the law. This is something that's completely alien to the Hebrew Bible. So this is going to happen a lot with us, is you're going to hear Christians and Jews using the same word. We don't mean the same thing at all. Faith in Tanakh means that you persevere, and despite vicissitudes, you trust that all will work out in the end. That's what faith means. When God called Abraham and tested him, Abraham demonstrated by his behavior that he had faith in God. Not that he spoke to God, that he, in fact, put his trust in God. Paul eviscerates that completely, and Paul seeks to, from beginning to end, Christ is the end of the law to everyone who believes. That's critical. So he was a fierce opponent of keeping ritual commandments, and he weaponized that very attractive word, faith, to convey that. That's completely... If someone's going to ask me, how much did he know, how much did he not know, he was quoting a lot from pagan sources, accurately, and misquoting the Hebrew Bible routinely, and he got away with it. And something that James and I spoke about the last time we were all together is that he had a Gentile audience. His audience would never be able to pick this up, be able to pick this out. They didn't have the tools to do that because they didn't know, they had no access to the Hebrew Bible.